Hey YouTube, what's up? This is Ben from shouldigetit.com. In this tutorial video, I'm going to be showing automotive photographers how to light paint cars in various locations. So as you can see here, I went out and light painted with Guy with a Camera 415 last night, shot this beautiful Audi R8. As you can see here, this is the final image with his edit and the light painting techniques we're going to go over here. So as you can see, this can be used in a variety of locations on specific parts of the car. Various cars, doesn't matter what color the car is, doesn't matter if it's paint or wrap or whatever indoor location, outdoor location, as long as the basics are the same, then you can light paint. We're going to talk about the 4 things that you need to shoot, then we're going to talk about how to actually shoot these files, and then I'm going to show you guys how to edit this using Lightroom and Photoshop. So over this whole video, you'll go from not knowing how to light paint at all, that's the audience for this video, so if you know how to light paint already, this might be a lot of recap for you. But we're going to go over, again, the things you need, how to shoot it, and then how to edit it all together so it looks kind of similar to this GTR shot right here. This is Daniel's edit, Guy with a Camera 415 on Instagram. Check him out. Amazing presets, amazing photographer. So we did a collab on this shoot, and I'll be teaching you what you need. So let's start off with what do you need? First off, you're going to need your camera and a tripod. You'll need a light source, an object to shoot, of course. It doesn't have to be a GTR. And if you want something really easy to practice on, you could use your house. So as long as you don't have street lights that are too bright, you can do this. So you do need a fairly dark place. So when you actually shoot the car, you need the side of the car to be fairly dark, but other than that, you're good. So the first thing that you want to do is take a base exposure shot and see what happens. So if we take a look here at this GTR, we'll see that the base exposure when we first shot was super duper bright. I mean, this was just blown out of proportion and not very good. So this is a 30-second exposure at f4 ISO 200. So as you can see, everything's way too bright. We need a really dark image without any light. So for the background image, what we were doing was f22 with ISO 100 at 30 seconds. So when you look at the base shot, you can see that the car is very dark, and that means that it can be painted. So this does not work in the daytime or in very bright places. So you need somewhere where you can really bring the light down to a minimum. If you are somewhere out in the middle of nowhere with no light at all, that'll be the easiest. So you can very simply do that. Just make sure that there's no street lights basically. So if you're trying to shoot in your neighborhood, it might be a little difficult. So first what you want to do is take a base shot. So make sure the scene is as dark as possible. Usually this is going to be between f13 and f22 depending on your lens. You want to set the ISO to the lowest possible setting, and time-wise you want a 15 to 30 second exposure so that you can paint the whole car. Now I'm going to show you guys a clip of the actual shoot from last night with a couple of tips in there, and keep in mind that moving that light in a circular motion is very, very important. So we have the camera set up on a tripod, manual focus using live view, so the spot that's lit, manual focus on it, zoom in, or use a light to check your focus. Anyways, then you want to set your exposure for what, 30 seconds?
About so, yeah.
30 seconds, f13?
F13, ISO 100.
Yep, and then when you light paint for the 30 seconds, you want to make sure, 1, you don't point the light into the camera, and 2, spin it in circles so you don't get light streaks all over the car. So go ahead and hit the shutter. When you start your frame, you want to make sure that you're using the self-timer to get the sharpest possible image from your camera. The other thing is you want to keep the light moving in circular or oval type motions so it keeps hitting the car and does not leave strong line reflections in the car. And you want to make sure that if the camera can see it, you light it. So make sure that when you light, you don't leave these hard reflections in the car unless you want them. So keep it moving in a circular motion, as you can see here, and light every part of the car, including the roof, hood, and wheels.
That's it.
Cool. So we got the 30-second frame. Does it look decent?
Yep.
Okay, and then what you want to do after that is, so you have the whole car lit, the back wheel's a little dark, so maybe we'll do another one, but then you shoot one frame without any light paint in it, so then Photoshop you can put the frames together, and then you won't have the little light streaks, so you have a clean background file. So that's it. It just takes 2 photos. Make sure you manual focus, spin the light in circles, and use the softbox, and then you can get like 70,000 Instagram followers. Now that we've shot the files, we've imported them into Lightroom, and now we're going to get to the editing. This should take about 5 minutes. So first, we want to take a look at our light paint file. So as you can see, we have the car painted here, you can see we have a little light streak going on, not a huge deal. And then we have all these light streaks, which we're going to get rid of in a second. Then, of course, we have the base file, which, as you guys can see, the car was lit a little bit from the street light, but definitely not enough on this side, hence why we light painted. And we're going to put these together and get rid of these light streaks. Now, before you do this, there's a couple things you want to take care of in Lightroom. First, go to your Develop tab and make sure the white balances are the same for both images. So here, it's 45, 50, 28, and here it's a little different. So let's change it, 45, 50, whoops, 45, 50, and 28, hit enter, and now the white balances are the same. Now the other thing is, as you can see in this image, the wheels are just a tiny bit dark, especially this rear rim here, and the top of the car is a little bit dark. So what I'm going to do is hit the brush tool, hit lighten, just tap on the wheel, and then we can paint and make it a little bit brighter. Now to make it easier to see what you're doing, I turn the brightness up all the way. I'm using my Wacom tablet here to brush that on. So as you can see, I can make the wheel really, really bright. I'm going to tone this down because this looks way too ridiculous, but that way I can see what I'm painting, and then we can tone that down just a little bit. That way you can see the on and off. We get a lot more detail in the rim here. I'm going to paint the front just a tiny bit, get a little bit more of the brakes and the tires. That looks pretty good. If we want, we can bring up the shadows in the front right there, and then as you can see, this rear portion of the car and the roof weren't very well lit, so what I'm going to do is just brush a little bit there as well and bring this up a little bit so it matches with the rest of the car. And as you can see, you can play with this for a long time, change how bright it is, but I'm going to leave it at that. So now that we are done editing in Lightroom, we can take this into Photoshop. Now, of course, you can go a lot further with this. You can change, colors and all that. You want to do that first. Do your clone stamping so you can get rid of this leaf right here if you want to. But that's up to you guys. There are a lot of tutorials that will help you out with that. If you have questions, shoot me a DM. I'll help you out. But what we're going to do now is select both files in Lightroom. So select those, go to Edit In, and Open as Layers in Photoshop. So now what's going to happen is these are going to open as a stack. So we're going to have both the files in the same Photoshop file. So 2 images, 1 Photoshop file, and we're going to just easily put them together to get rid of these light streaks. So first, I'm going to rename the layers. So this is our light paint layer. So light paint. Then on the bottom we have the base exposure. So we'll just call that base. As you can see, we have this little light leak blob right there. I'm going to get rid of that really quick. And we're good. Okay. So then I have the light paint. And what I'm going to do here, a little bit of a cheater move, but who cares? We're going to select this light right here, content aware fill, and boom, it's gone. So that's an easy way to get rid of any light streaks that you may have gotten. No matter how good your circular motions are, sometimes you'll get light streaks, so you can just get rid of them with this method. So we're all set there. We can get rid of this little light reflection in the window, and you can do that with a whole bunch of things. But let's get into how do we get rid of these light streaks. So as you can see, on the base layer, we don't have those light streaks. So that makes it super easy. We're going to hit this layer mask button right here, select black as our color, select the brush, so hit B, or select this brush tool here. Make sure hardness is set to 0, set the size as big as you want it. You can use the bracket tools for this, so just hold the right bracket to make it bigger, left bracket to make it smaller, and all we're going to do is brush away. Okay, and then the top, you can see we can brush this, and the sky was a little bit more blue in our base exposure. I think that's because of our polarizer turn, the way we had it set up. And now you can see that we have no light streaks at all. And we have the light painted car. So we are all set right there. Super easy to do. Very, very easy in Photoshop. So the better you shoot your files and edit them in Lightroom, the easier it's going to be for you in Photoshop. So again, if we disable this layer mask, you can see we got rid of the light streaks. We also did hit a little bit of the top of the car. So you can see that it got a little bit dark. So what we're going to do is change to white, select a smaller brush, zoom in, and then we can just paint right here, get a little bit of that brightness back. So we can just paint on the car, and white means that the layer under is going to show up. So you can see we got the car just a little bit. Now it's nice and bright, and we are looking good. So at this point, you're done. You've put together your light painted image. The car looks cleanly lit. You don't have any light streaks on it. You have both the files put together. You can just save this and you're done. If you want, of course, you can take it to the next level. You can play with something like color balance. So, if you want the shadows to be a little bit more blue, a little more edgy, you can do that. Play around with a whole bunch of things, and that's basically how you light paint. So hopefully this video helped you. If it did, share it with another photographer. If you're really excited to go try this out, do it tonight. Just find a dark spot. The darker the spot, as I mentioned, the better. So that way you won't have the car lit at all. You can do as long of an exposure as you'd like. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below. Really appreciate if you guys subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.